Hi, this is Scott Johnson from The Instance, and you're listening to the Epic Podcast.
This is the beginning and the end.
You're listening to the Epic Podcast Show with your hosts, Lignar, Walmardian,
He told me to tie her up and do whatever I wanted to her. So I took a stereo.
and Medicakes.
Do you think the expansion will make me fat?
Enough of this palaver. Let's get the show on the road.
Howdy, folks. You're listening to the Epic Podcast for the Black community. I'm Medicakes. With me is Lignar and chair dancing extraordinaire, Walmardian.
Yeah, there we go. Lead with that. All I know is
Lead it on in.
freaked me out there as the song's ending. I'm thinking, shit, I don't have the show notes up. So I'm like, I hope it's not my turn. A little pee might have just come out. I'm just saying. I was
overshare.
Dude, buddy, pal. Between us, there's never oversharing. There's just not enough sharing.
You kind of got a point.
No, we need to share more.
Anyway. I'll agree. That's kind of true.
I don't know where this is going.
Me either, and I'm scared shitless. So let's move
Oh,
on.
that's all right. All right. Well, oversharing.
Well, okay, then.
So we pooped and peed already in the first 5 minutes. What's going on? Anyway,
How
hi.
do I lead into like a week in WoW or in general from peeing? I'm like, really?
Well, there are poop quests in WoW. I mean, that's a pretty easy segue.
How's your week in your bowels? There we go.
Week in WoW.
With our weekend movements. Come on, let's talk about it.
Anyways,
Problem.
I'm gonna start out with me. This is all about me, yo.
Word.
Unfortunately, it hasn't been a big WoW and a big week in my pals.
Big wow week.
A big weekend in WoW. Did some reading with Fert. I think we got a garage and farm status, which is awesome.
I think so, unless our group changes and the comp gets a little wonky from what we're used to. But yeah, I think so overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna start going in our alts, which is pretty cool. I don't know who to bring. I may bring Mini instead of my hunter. So I don't know. I did jump in the beta for a few hours, and I rolled up a priest in the alliance side, just because I really want to keep Medi current when Warlords comes out, and I forgot how to shadow.
Oh, come on.
Seriously, I'm just like, what are these buttons? I don't know what to do.
Am I going to have to learn you?
Probably.
Okay.
Pure just
We'll talk about
disdain with
that
that. Oh, come on.
The Paladin, I'm loving the changes with Ret.
Really?
Yeah, like I can't go into all the changes because I'm not, a Ret know-it-all, but just from it being my off-spec, I always felt that it felt slow and chunky, and I wasn't doing enough damage, and I wasn't, surviving enough. But I'm powering through mobs in Ret, and I'm really digging it.
Well, I would say that's fair, but maybe wait until you run some instances, because leveling mobs, questing mobs are way different than bosses.
Yeah, true.
So I'd say wait and see how that goes, but because I mean I've said similar things about Shadow. Like I think I killed stuff faster on my Blood DK than I did on Shadow on these questing mobs, and that's because I could pull 20 of them and just survive, and I couldn't do that on the priest.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, does it still feel like really whack-a-mole too, though? I mean, or does it have like a rotation sort of thing?
The Blood DK?
No, a Ret Paladin always felt like
It
severe
doesn't
whack-a-mole.
It doesn't have a rotation. It still has the priorities
Okay.
that you want to do, but it flows better.
Okay, that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
Nice.
say. It flows better than what it is on live servers right now. Outside of WoW, I've been learning how to spurk.
Back to your regularly scheduled. Sorry, that's probably a reference that nobody gets.
My website for my jewelry business, which the name has changed, but it's official. And getting Corey from Ezra Pirate Radio to do some logo mock-ups for me. So I've been working on my jewelry stuff, which is making me happy. So, anyways, that's been my week. How about you, Joe?
Mine mostly has been in the beta, doing a lot of live streaming of what's going on there. Shadow Moon, of course, coming out. So finally explored that at length yesterday for the first time, really. And I'm very pleased with it. I mean, I didn't think I wouldn't be, but I'm pretty pleased with what's going on so far. Obviously, lots of other stuff going on with beta we'll get into, but just enjoying, being in Draenor, honestly. I mean, I know with all the other stuff that's going on, everybody's kind of up in arms and things, but for all the waiting and everything else, and frankly, for the love that I've had for BC and everything else, to be in these same areas, in their former glory and everything else, I still kind of shake my head. I don't know. I've always been, I don't know. I maybe I'm naive about these things, but it still kind of boggles my mind that we're doing this, of all the expansions and stuff they could have done, that we're still doing this. So, other than that, I mean, actually, like I said, with the live streaming and then doing some Hearthstone, I haven't really been doing a whole lot. It's just mostly been hanging out in the beta. We had a good stream yesterday. Noble actually stopped by for a while and chatted me up about some lore and warlords and stuff like that for about 20 minutes on my stream, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
But yeah, he's such a super nice guy. But yeah, it's really just been all beta and just testing and trying out the different things in it. And yeah, so, and they haven't really, I got to 2890, still haven't pushed past that yet. I have, let's see, number 29 is 86, so he'll get there, but I've just kind of been leaving him be for now. So that's about it, though. What about you, Lignar?
Well, kind of like Medi, being on the same raid team, a little bit of raiding with Fert, killing Gary, Gary the Rosh, and finally got my 4-piece on my priest, which the irony of that we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, finally got the 4-piece on the priest. Feel like I'm not chasing hunts to win quite so much anymore with DPS, even though we all kind of are in our raid team still chasing hunts to win on the DPS meters. That dude's a beast. I got sucked in, I was talking earlier, in the pre-show, that apparently really wasn't the pre-show because the stream wasn't live. My girlfriend's son got a game on Steam called Banished, which has been all over streams lately and all that kind of stuff. I got sucked into it today. I played for probably, I'm saying at least 6 hours. I'm guessing it's closer to 8. It's basically SimCity in medieval times. And if you ever got into SimCity, I would suggest you check this game out. It's pretty cool. It literally, I sat here, I didn't eat until probably 3 o'clock because I didn't think about food. It's a pretty good game. Not much in WoW. Another thing, I was saying in the pre-show that I don't think was actually pre-show, wanted to get into the beta, but every time I got around to, hey, I got a few minutes or an hour or whatever, I'm going to jump into the beta, it was offline for maintenance. So haven't really jumped into the beta too much. Want to, hopefully can do that tomorrow. That's probably going to be my last chance for a while with the holiday weekend coming up, and got a lot of plans coming up for the next few days. But got into Heroes once or twice over the past week. Want to keep playing in Heroes and get back into that. I want to go play with some of the changes that they've been making and see what's up and all that, but I just haven't had the time. So, which is ironic, the whole unemployment thing, that I don't have the time to play video games, but yeah, it's not a whole lot of gaming except for pretty much today getting into Banished. But I've been keeping up with the patch notes and social media and all that stuff, which I've got a feeling that we're going to talk about in depth here shortly. So you want to go ahead and jump into some of it?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing is probably one of the newest things that kind of came up is that the auction house is now cross-faction. It's not faction specific anymore, which I don't know if that means they're getting rid of the quote unquote neutral auction house or if those guys are just going to become normal auctioneers. I'm not sure what happens to them. I don't know that anybody's actually gone to check.
No, I'm assuming they're just going to be either retired or just going to be regular auctioneers. I can actually hop in and check though.
I was just curious, like,
yeah.
One gameplay thing that somebody brought up that I think is an interesting thing to think about is what about the faction specific things that are BOE? And I don't know if any of the faction specific stuff is BOE or I'm sorry, not BOE, bind on pickup. No, I guess it would have to be BOE. But there are faction specific pets that you got from the jousting grounds, but you could sell those in the neutral auction house.
Yeah.
I can't think of any gear, and there may be, but I just can't think of it. But I can't think of any gear or weapons, that kind of thing, that are faction specific. I know during Wrath, some of the gear, especially like during the Trial of the Crusader, that was faction specific, but I thought it was all bind on pickup. I don't think there was any of it that was BOE. And maybe I'm wrong.
No, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's something. Chat room?
Yeah, chat room, if you know of any, that would be awesome. A lot of people were talking about that, and my answer is it's no longer faction specific. I mean, that's the easy thing.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything that's not, something you get as, to your account in any way, like a mount or something like that would already be stuck to that character automatically anyway. So
right, and the only thing I can think of are the pets you get the jousting dailies that you do, and you get I don't remember the currency off the top of my head. Yeah, but
those were BOE anyway.
Those were BOE, and you could sell them cross faction. Mm-hmm. So I don't see what the big deal is with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now the turmoil around this is that it wasn't announced; it was discovered, and people kind of blew up blaming Blizzard, like, how dare you not announce this and just confirm it? And I'm like, maybe they weren't ready to announce it, but they weren't going to deny it either when somebody figured it out. Like, I don't understand what the problem is. Like, I really don't. Like, people were just all up in arms over it. And I'm like, so somebody figured it out and Blizzard said, yep, you got us. Right. You're good. Sweet. Move on.
Right.
But they were all just all up in arms about why did this get confirmed. And granted, it got confirmed at I think it was Watcher that confirmed it, and it was 1:30 a.m. Pacific time.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, oh, it got confirmed at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, newsflash, guys. People all around the world play this game. It was 4 o'clock in the morning for somebody somewhere whenever any blue post got posted.
Mm-hmm.
So chill out on that one. But what's wrong with... This is not new. Blizzard has always done this kind of stuff where they put something in, they don't talk about it, somebody discovers it and said, yep, you're right. And it looks like there's a problem with the call. That's awesome.
What?
Yeah, Skype. Okay, apparently everybody's back. Maybe Medi was dropped out there for a second.
Hello?
Okay, so Medi was dropped out for a second.
She's back.
Hi, I was like, bye, guys.
Yeah, Skype just went red. I'm like, shit. But yeah, I mean, Blizzard's always done this kind of stuff. As long as I can remember, as long as I've been playing this game, where they put something in, especially with WoW. Maybe not with StarCraft, maybe, because they got the esports perspective of that. But they put something in, and they don't necessarily talk about it, but if somebody asks them about it, they're not going to deny it. This is not new. And I don't understand why it was such a big deal. I really don't.
For me, this is a quality of life thing for me. Quality of gameplay, I guess.
Totally agree.
Because there's been plenty of times where I've been on my Horde tune, and it's like I find something in the auction house, and I'm like, oh, awesome. I wonder if that's going to be in the, an Alliance auction. So I switch over to my Alliance tune, and there it is. But it's like, I don't have the money for it, and it's on my Alliance tune, but I want it on my Horde tune. So this is going to be great. So I could purchase, so say it's on the Alliance side, right? So does it show as this is being sold by somebody from the Alliance or somebody from the Horde?
I don't know. I haven't looked. I got a feeling it's going to show the seller's name, and if you try to look him up, in the army or whatever, you're going to find out. The thing is, with your plan here, I don't know if you've thought it through, that's not going to work. No, because you can't mail something to another character, a character in the other faction, unless it's a BOA. You can't just mail something to another character, unless they've changed that, but you never could mail a BOE, even on the same server, to a character. You can't mail gold between two of your characters if they're on different factions. You can only do that with BOAs.
If I can buy from a different faction, why can't I send to a different faction?
Mail is an entirely different system. Yeah. So your plan may not work. Now, what could happen is Joe or myself buy it for you on the other faction. There's a way around it, but you're not necessarily going to be able to buy it and send it to one of your alts on the other faction, because you cannot do that currently unless it's a BOA item. If it's BOE, won't work. If it's gold, won't work. Only if it's BOA. So, I like the way you're thinking, just unfortunately it's not going to work.
Lame. Liz.
So, but for me, the only time that really matters is pets and mounts, and you don't really see too many mounts on the auction house, at least not that I can afford.
Right.
So Joe, I mean, and I know there's implications with the economy here. I don't think any of them are really negative. I mean, the folks who are on these vastly imbalanced servers, if you're on say Earthen Ring, if you're Alliance on the Earthen Ring, you're the minority.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like, it's going to be a positive for them. And actually, I think it's going to be a positive for the Horde side there, because there's a little bit more. There's not much, but there's a little bit more of a buyer base there.
And on the Alliance side, on Lightbringer, which is mostly Alliance,
right?
It's just the amount that something is going for on the Alliance side on an Alliance bias server, it's just ridiculously high. And I was just like, really? So maybe the prices are going to come down on some things with Horde selling too, which could be good.
And I want to apologize to the chat room. Luckily, we have a local recording. The stream just died again. So I just started up. Sorry, chat room. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on there. So anything you caught about us talking about the auction house? And just listen to the download, I guess. But Joe, did you have anything about? I mean, do you have any thoughts about this that are like
not really? I mean, to me, this is something that probably could have happened at any point in the game's existence. I mean, I know it's going to affect economy, because obviously you're going to have twice the amount of stuff sitting around, or, technically, I mean, whether that's, in practice or not, but I mean, it's going to be a lot more stuff, and it's going to water things down, and, probably things like that. But I don't play the auction house or anything, so it's not going to bother me at all. So to me, it's just...
I think that's a valid point. I think the only people that it's really going to affect are the gold makers, which honestly, there's a quote unquote, there's a lot, end quote, right? But they are a really small minority. They just happen to have podcasts and blogs and that kind of stuff, so they're vocal. But it's a really small minority of the WoW population.
Now, with what I'm reading from this blue is, somebody said, hopefully it is. It would make life a lot more bearable as minority faction on an unbalanced server. And Blue responds with, unified between factions on a given server. So is this for low pop servers or unbalanced servers or all servers?
From what I read, I think it was on a tweet, and I don't have it in front of me. But this is going to be across the board. Like, they're not going to deploy a different code base for one server versus another. The closest they're going to get to that is the cross-realm stuff. The merge servers, or the, what are they calling it? Are they merged? Is that what they're calling them?
I believe so.
That's the closest they're going to get to a different code base, and that's not really a different code base. They're not going to have a different set of code running the auction house on Earthen Ring as they are on pick a server that's close to 50-50. They're just not going to do it. It's a management nightmare when you've got close to 250 servers in the US I think it's 235, maybe 240. I'm not sure. But that's just a management nightmare when you come to troubleshooting of like, oh, it's this server, so it's got this code base. No, they're not going to do that. If they start running into bugs and they have to figure out if it's the problem with the cross-faction auction house versus the non-cross-faction auction house code, no. They're just going to roll out one set of code. That I haven't seen a blue post that says that, but I'm sitting here thinking it from an IT perspective and a troubleshooting perspective. They're not going to do it. They're going to have the same code everywhere minus the linked servers. That's the only difference that we're going to see between servers. The actual code that runs the auction house and everything else is going to be exactly the same. Otherwise, Connected Realms, thank you, chat room. But yeah, there's excuse me, there's no way they're going to have that on just some servers and not the other, because if nothing else, it's going to be like, oh, well, my server's 60/40 and you should put it on my server too, and they're just gonna do it across the board. That way nobody can claim favoritism, nobody can claim that they've been dissed or they've been shoved to the side. It's just, they're just gonna put it across the board. So, but yeah, I welcome it, because like on Earthen Ring, where Medi and I play our mains, it's largely Horde. I don't know what the raid progression on the Alliance side is, and it's a much smaller population, and maybe there's somebody on the Alliance side who wants to buy those haunted spirits that I can't fucking sell on the Horde side.
Yeah.
I'm bring it on, you know? So
I don't know. For me, it's a new and interesting thing, and it's not that really, I mean, it's just the auction house with more players. I mean, the whole Horde Alliance, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. It's basically just everybody on your server now can put it all on one auction house. It's just boil it down to what that is. Some people are asking, what does that mean lore-wise, selling to your enemy? Come on. I mean, yeah, of course, this lore and story and stuff like that. Yeah.
This is a game, gameplay trumps lore. That's what this is.
That's exactly. And it's so... Yeah, I understand whatever. You know, heck, what's kind of neat in a way is that if there is no explanation or anything like that, think about the stories the RPers can come up with for something like this. I could easily see them coming up with a whole network of goblins and everything else that sell in back alleys and stuff like that.
Well, I did see somebody on Twitter ask, are all the auctioneers now going to be part of the Bilgewater cartel?
I don't know.
I just like the frantic reactions of it's like the end is nigh. Next, you know, we'll be combining factions. I'm like, no, we're not.
You know, that's one thing. Like, I hate the people who are like, oh, if they ever do this, I quit. And if they ever do cross faction instances, unless it's like a one or two, you know, one-off type thing for whatever kind of story,
right?
If they were to just be like, oh, well, yeah, if you want to use real ID and group with your Horde friends or your Alliance friends and the other faction and go raid, I might quit.
That's actually the one thing, because I don't really get up in arms about changes, because change in an MMO, I've been playing since vanilla. Actually, I just realized Saturday is going to be my 8-year anniversary.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I've seen shit change. You know, I mean, obviously, big time changes over the 8 years I've been playing, and I can't think of one that really destroyed me at any point. The only thing that kind of it did bother me as a druid is not having Freeform and Cataclysm, and that bothered me more because I knew a glyph would fix it, and I felt like that was an easy change, and I didn't understand why they wouldn't kind of give players choice there, which eventually they end up doing and miss. But I mean, I just don't know one that would just piss me off that bad. Now, the one I did tweet though, like you said, was that one would bother me. The whole factions, you know,
which is ironic for you, considering how many tunes you have in each faction.
But that's why I have that many tunes. The whole point was I wanted to have one of each class on both factions 90 so I could do whatever I wanted. I put the work in. That is not the reason why it would bother me, because I'd be like, everybody should do what I did, because nobody else should be that
fuck
insane.
You.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, at that point, it would feel like we're just almost like Blizzard's just kind of throwing their hands in the air, and they're just like, okay, well, now everything there's nothing that's not possible anymore.
Right.
I don't know why that barrier is there for me, and that's the line. I can't really put my finger on it, but
I'm the same way.
But that, for some reason, that one would be really big where I'd have to rethink a few things.
Honestly, part of it for me would be I spent money faction changing some tunes.
There
that
is
would be
that.
part
for
of
me,
it.
For me, honestly, it's lore. It just from a lore standpoint, it would. I can play with Timmy across the street, but not that orc son of a bitch.
Well, and especially for me right now. For me right now is like if they were to like if they like okay, you buy Warlords, you get a free 90, right? Great. Right. If they were to do that, if they were to just keep extending that for the next expansion, let's call it the Emerald Dream. That's what everybody fucking wants, right? So the next expansion after Warlords is the Emerald Dream. You get a level 100 if you buy the Emerald Dream. Why do we need cross faction now? There's been a lot of people asking for it. I literally do not want it. I think it breaks the fundamental aspect of the game of Blizzard has said this all along. The essence of Warcraft. If you go way back 20 or 25?
Right. Orcs versus humans.
It's Warcraft, orcs versus humans.
Right. And I think the other thing too for me in terms of why that's a line is as much as we're all cool with whatever in this game for the most part, and as a community and everything else, when it comes right down to it, a lot of us have very, very solid ties to a faction. We have very intimate reasons for loving and being a part of a particular faction.
And the irony is like I have ties to both.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I can understand that too, but I mean, there's people out there and you've seen it time and again. People are getting tattoos of these symbols.
Right.
This is nothing small to a lot of people. So to just be able to throw them all into the mix and everybody's going to be,
could you imagine raid chat and LFR if it was 2/3 Horde and 1/3 Alliance? Could you imagine?
Who knows,
how
man?
fucked up that LFR chat would be?
Yeah, it just
worse than Barons. Hey.
Yeah.
That's just that's the line for me, I think. And like I said, I don't get too up in arms about much of anything. Between alphas, betas, patches, hot fixes, stuff constantly changes. They can go back on something that they instituted and say are bad at any time. So I don't really get upset about things, but that would be a real head scratcher for me.
I'm not saying it would make me quit, but it would be one change that they could make to make me step back and say, is this a game I want to keep playing?
That's what I mean. I'd have to see how it worked, but it wouldn't feel like the same game anymore. It just wouldn't. I can't. I think you said like it's Warcraft. It's not like, hey, let's be pals craft.
Right.
So,
and like Broomfawn was saying, like this is kind of off topic, kind of. Why people want the Emerald Dream, dude? I don't know. Like I've read a lot of the novels. What the Emerald Dream is Azeroth before any living creatures lived on it, and it's all green. I don't know why fucking people want to go there. It sounds boring to me. Like unless they did the Emerald Nightmare, but that was kind of shitty in the book. Like I don't know.
Well, I think that was something a long time ago where we weren't sure how it would be, executed and things. But
we should totally do a full underwater expansion.
No,
because I would quit.
Yeah,
okay. I would.
There we go. That's right. That would be
that one. Yeah, I wouldn't even have to step back and think about it.
It's like the water temple in Legend of Zelda. Fuck it.
Warlords of Vashir. Fuck you.
I'm out. Anyway.
We got a snort already.
Yeah, well, already. Shit, we're halfway through the show.
Yeah, right through the halfway mark, we get the snort.
Nice. So let's go ahead and move on. We've kind of beat the cross-faction shit to death. One thing that got a lot of, and I haven't listened to, so Seraphis, if you're listening, I haven't had a chance to listen to the latest episode of The Sundering. I know he was really fired up about this, but they're taking out guild leveling in Warlords, and they're kind of baking the perks in. and they're kind of making up for some of the other perks, like cash flow was one of them, where when people quested and they looted mobs, you to generate money in the guild bank. They're kind of baking that in. They're kind of fixing some of those, like the cash flow. They're going to do more BOEs and raids and that kind of stuff, so the guild can sell them and get some gold. I know a lot of. Go ahead.
So basically, what they told us long ago was there'll be no more guild levels.
Well, they told us coming into Mist, somebody asked about how come there's no more guild levels, and they said they couldn't come up with any that were, what's the right word? Intriguing, that were that were like worth going for. They felt like they were a good addition to the game, and I understand how that would be difficult after they came up with the 24 that they came up with for Cataclysm.
All right, you're level 25. You don't need any more levels for a guild.
Right, and it's not hard. Like I've seen people do it. Like 2 or 3 people form a small little guild, and in a couple weeks they made it to level 25 because they really buffed and removed some of the the daily or weekly restrictions on how much XP and all that kind of stuff you can get. It's not hard to get a level 25 guild anymore. Mm-hmm. So basically what they're doing is saying all guilds are level 25 now. I
guess for me it's like I don't really understand what people are raging about.
I don't either.
And I love you, Sarah, but it's just like I don't really understand what's being taken away. I mean, if it's the cash flow, I could kind of understand it for
and
smaller family guilds.
And actually, cash flow is one reason they're taking it away, because go roll a tune on a server somewhere and get the instant guild invite, and those are basically generated by people who are creating a guild. They're just recruiting new people so they can bank all that money off of cash flow. Mm-hmm. That's it. That didn't start until there was guild leveling and that cash flow perk. So they're trying to kill that off, which frankly is annoying as shit if you roll a new tune.
Oh yeah.
So they're trying to kill that part off, and the other things, like they're like, okay, so I don't remember the name of the perk where flight paths are faster. They're like, we're just gonna make them faster. Like I said to Seraphis, I haven't listened to the latest episode of The Sun Ring yet. He might have some very valid points that I haven't thought about. He's currently a guild leader. I wore that hat for a while. I can't think of any reason that I would be pissed off about this.
Right. And it's like, what about, putting money into the guild bank for guild repairs? I'm like, that's if the guild has that option up and running. For like AIE, I know that I'm running dungeons and I'm running raids and we're putting money in the guild bank, but they don't have guild repairs turned on.
Right, they can't.
So they can't because they are a huge effing guild.
But that's kind of the outlier. That's like the exception.
Yeah.
Just because AI is so big. And CTR is the same thing.
I mean, I'm in the guild and I'm in my own little raid group, that's in a sub guild of AIE, and it's like I don't use the guild bank. I don't use the guild repairs, so it's just like this doesn't really affect me because we're already level 25.
But like I was saying,
we already have the perks. They're not getting rid of the achievement perks, like and like the professions and
the daily challenges or weekly challenges. Those are still.
They're not getting rid of those.
So Joe, I know Trauma 2 it's a casual guild, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Does any of this? I mean, because are you technically the GM?
Yes, I am the GM.
Does any of this bother you?
The cash flow thing, yeah, because we are smallish. I mean, I understand it. It's overall, I gotta look at the big picture. And frankly, as somebody starting Trauma 2 and everything as I did this past expansion, it's difficult to get anybody to give 2 shits about anything that's going to be below 13 or whatever, where you start getting the XP boosts. Nobody wants to come and do the dirty work to push a guild up to the point where it's going to benefit them in any way, shape,
okay, but if they're just baking that in or just removing that perk altogether, then everybody's still on level playing ground.
That's what I'm saying. So that's perfectly fine. That's what I'm saying. I thought the guild leveling thing was like right at the time was kind of cool, but after that, and we got everybody at level 25, especially back in Cata when it was a lot harder to level a guild.
Right.
All those other people that were like, I'd like to start but what a pain in the ass. All that stuff, and then it bothered me that you're going to have these guilds that were going to end up, not mega guilds necessarily, but you're going to have a lot of little guilds and people that want to start guilds that'll be a little discouraged about going through that whole process. So to me, I like this because, again, we're looking at going back to more of what BC was. I mean, I keep seeing little things, obviously item squish and everything else. We're going to Draenor, all this stuff to kind of go back to the old days. And cash flow will hurt. There's no doubt. We are a smallish guild. And we don't have a lot of money, and they're not taking guild repairs away, right?
They're taking cash. Guild repairs.
So we're going to have to manage ours a little bit better, probably a little bit tighter, which is fine. I mean, it's not hard to make gold in this game for repairs and things like that. So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's a small sacrifice to make. Like I said, because I think the overall reasoning is sound. So, and that's what I look at. I mean, I think I want to make sure that I find the right quote, but Ghostcrawler had a really good quote. See if I can find it real quick.
Well, the only Ghostcrawler quote I can think of is the one about the auction house, where he's like, "If you expect him to tell you everything," no, it's actually about the next news item.
Right here, no, he said this was, when was it? September 26, 2012. I don't want to sound like an asshole here, which already won him points with me. But then he said, but statistically speaking, my friends and I feel X is not the same as everyone feels X.
Right.
And that's exactly damn right. I mean, overall, the entire game, the entire player base, just the way the game works has to be taken into account. And if it steps on a few toes, that's so be it. The sacrifice has to be made. It's just like hell. Whenever I make a video, there may be one thing that I thought of that made the whole video come to life, and it's this one little clip that I'm like, oh, I love this so much. It's so amazing, and it's amazing by itself. But once it's in the big picture,
right,
it slows everything down and drags it, and I have to make that decision to cut it, and it hurts because it makes no sense. It's the whole crux of the thing. But that happens in this too, and we have to keep that big picture in mind. And that's why I'm not worried about it. Cash flow will suck. Not having it does help the guild, but you know what?
But
so does guild.
But that's where the guild
together.
That's where exactly. That's where the guild needs to be a guild and say like, hey, if y'all want me to turn on guild repairs, y'all need to throw some money in the guild bank.
Exactly.
Or throw some BOEs to put on the auction house. Whatever.
Right. And I miss those days when we had sharing with each other. I mean, this is going to go into crafting and stuff to a degree, but like where we would make each other our raid gear, and we would raid raids to get the drops.
That's a professions discussion, which they
right.
Need
that's
to make
what I'm saying.
But relevant,
but I mean, like you said, I mean, BOEs and stuff like that we could throw in there, whatever. I mean, even if it's crafting them, something that we would share and help the guild out in some fashion. And that's, I'm hoping, I mean, we don't know how the social aspect will occur because of these changes, but I think they're hopeful that some of that will come back.
Right, and I think it's ironic though that people are like, "Oh, vanilla was best" or "BC was best," and now they're bringing things back to that era, and people are like, "This fucking sucks." Like, make up your goddamn mind, shit.
Well, we know what rose-colored glasses is. Trust me.
I do want to kind of throw a shout out to Lisana/RestoKin. It's Resto KIN on Twitter. She wrote a blog about why this is a good thing. The only thing about her blog that I don't agree with is about the challenge to starting a new guild. And she basically made it out to be like it was nobody wanted to start a new guild because you had to be level 25. That was a factor, but it wasn't the factor. I think the biggest factor, having worn that Game Master, I wish I worn a Game Master hat, the Guildmaster hat, is it's a lot of fucking work. And nobody wants to put in that work. Or not nobody, but very few people want to put in that work. It's a lot of work to try to keep everybody happy, to keep a raid team together. It's a lot of work, and it's like for me, I basically stepped back from it because it wasn't fun, because it was too much work, and I wanted to have fun.
Right.
And that is, in my opinion, that's the biggest barrier. It's going to be a different barrier for each person, but I think this is going to remove a barrier. I'm not going to say it's the biggest, but it's going to remove a barrier. So that might give us some more guilds out there, that people starting up and get some more raiding guilds out there. I think it's a good thing. Like I said, Seraphis, don't send me hate mail. I haven't listened to your arguments yet, so.
Right.
But anyway, we're starting to go a little bit long, so unless you guys got anything else to say about the guild leveling thing, we can move on to the next one, which everybody lost their shit over.
Oh my. Yes, indeed.
Oh,
They
my.
moved the faction hubs.
Dun, dun,
Nope.
dun. Well, they never moved them.
Well, that's true. That's true.
That's what that one of the things I keep pointing out is like they took this away. No, they didn't.
Right. We were told at BlizzCon that Alliance would be at Karabor, aka what became Black Temple, and the Horde was going to be at, I lost the name.
Bladespire.
Bladespire, is that what it was?
Oh, why am I not thinking of it now? But I think that's what it was.
Where the orcs used to be, or the ogres, I mean. And then they said, yeah, we're going to put them in Ashran, and which is a
from the outskirts of PvP.
Well, but okay, so it's a PvP zone, and everybody lost their shit, and the Blues came out and said, you can get there, you can get out, you don't have to PvP if you don't want to, you don't even have to get flagged for PvP, nobody can tag you, you can't, because they're changing that system if you're on a PvE server. To where,
so the people that are yelling about, Blizzard forcing world PvP are just...
If you are on a PvE server, and you get into a group and there are PvP people, like a cross-realm group from people in a PvP realm, you have to flag yourself PvP in order for you to heal them. So, like, if you get into a cross-realm group for, say, I'm going to use a current content example. If you get into a realm or a group for the Celestials, right? If you use the in-game raid browser and you're queuing for Celestials or Ordos or whatever, if somebody in that group is... If that technology were in the game now, if somebody in your group is PvP and you're a healer, you just won't heal them unless you have flagged yourself eligible for PvP. It's not going to be where you heal them, boom, you're flagged for PvP. It's the exact opposite. So, no, you're not going to get ganked. If you're on a PvE server, it's not going to happen. If you're on a PvP server, sorry, that's what you fucking signed up for. Yeah. Sorry.
You started with that.
Then there's people saying, they're going to get, and I've kind of said it on Twitter too, just because other people have said it about, they're going to gank the flight masters and everything. I got a feeling Blizzard, they're kind of smart. They've made this big MMO that's lasted for 10 years. They've probably put some guards around it.
Yeah, they did mention that.
So, I doubt the flight masters are going to be ganked. And I'm sure it's going to happen on like Earthen Ring, where it's such a huge faction imbalance. I'm sure we might go do that just to fuck with the Alliance, just to say. But we probably won't do it for the first year. So, anyway, Medi, you're going to say something.
Well, it's no longer going to be Bladespire and Karabor are
Bladespire,
going to be the faction capitals, and they are being built for faction capitals. What's going to be put in there in place?
They said that they would be there. There just wouldn't be an auction house and portals back to Orgrimmar and Stormwind.
But what's going to be there? It just seems like a big waste of development and big waste of places that you'd have awesome story.
But there could still be awesome story, just not everybody hanging out there when they're max level.
Mm.
You've played through the Bladespire already in alpha. I was there with you when you did it.
Yeah.
What's different between that, what we already played through, and that version with a portal to Orgrimmar and an auction house in it? What's the big deal? What's the difference?
Just a bunch of NPCs.
Right.
In a place, running around.
But everybody lost their shit over this. Like, I don't... Yeah, and I'm like, they lost their shit over geography in a virtual world. That's what they lost their shit over. I don't get it. Like, honestly, as somebody who, like, my main right now is Horde side, I still love the Alliance side. Like, I still feel like I'm an Alliance player at heart. Like, when I log into my Alliance tunes and I go to Stormwind, I'm like, I'm home. That's how I feel. And yeah, part of me is a little bummed out that, like, I'm not going to be able to sit there and go, fuck you guys, Black Temple is my hometown. But I'm not that upset about it.
So, okay.
What?
So there was a difference between faction hubs and garrisons, right? Well,
Right.
won't they have a portal to like a major city
I
that
don't.
has an auction house? Like, I mean, your
Yeah.
garrison has a portal to Orgrimmar, so
I'm not
you
sure
can go
that-
to the auction house right there.
I'm not sure that portal is going to stay live though.
I was
Th-
supposed to say,
there's-
because
there's
if
been
that's the
hints-
case, then you could just log in and log out and you're fucking home.
Right.
Your garrison.
There's been hints that the portal in the garrison will not be in live.
No, they're not there anymore now.
Oh, they're not.
Really?
Okay.
They're gone. So
So, and I guess that's the thing is like everybody got pissed off about, like from a gameplay perspective, right? Everybody's getting pissed off about where they're going to AFK and where they're going to sit in queue. Like I don't understand it. From a kind of a lore perspective or a bragging rights perspective, I kind of get it, but I still think it was way overblown. Like I said, I thought it was cool as an Alliance player because I still, at the time we learned that, I was still hardcore Alliance. Like I still had not moved Lig over. He was still Alliance at the time. I was raiding with AIE on my mage. And I'm like, fuck yeah, that's cool. Karabor, bring it on. And now I'm like, it kind of sucks that we're not going to have Karabor, but whatever. I don't understand the outrage.
Real far that isn't the mage tower, so you can have portals in your garrison.
I think Brimfondel's right. I think the Mage Tower will give you that. I think so. Otherwise, what's the point? Unless it's an enchanter.
Meh.
Yeah.
I mean, remember we talked about, at least my suspicion partly was the changes to garrisons being much more integral to this expansion than we originally knew was one of the reasons we've had a lot of holdups in terms of getting this beta and everything going. At this point, you ask about where we're going to AFK and everything. I don't see how the default for everything is not going to be the garrisons in this expansion at this point. I think that's where everybody's going to hang out.
Unless they follow, like, okay, so they took the portal out, right? Now, maybe the Mage Tower's going to give us portals, but we don't know yet. Like, maybe that's the plan now, but they might change their mind on that yet.
Mm-hmm.
So if they follow the trend that they've done in the past expansions, the only way you're going to get to the auction house is go back to Orgrimmar and Stormwind, or Ironforge, whatever, or be an engineer. So there's got to be a way for people to get back to the auction house. Not that I want to go back to them being cross-faction again, but there's got to be a way for people to get back to the auction house, and that's where people are going to hang out. Now, if you're an engineer, fucking just hang out in your garrison. Or wherever.
So with all the QQing about this, somebody had, reading the comments, somebody had tweeted an update. Mumper tweeted again at around 10:30 a.m. this morning, basically with the attitude of, we promised a lot of things at BlizzCon, things change.
And that's what I was going to say about what Ghostcrawler said is they didn't promise us anything. They told us what they were planning. And there's a difference.
And what Mumper actually said was, no doubt we did. Just like every BlizzCon where we talk about early design, things change during development. And he's right. You know, it just amazes me, the attitude of a lot of people that are like, well, you promised us, so give it to us now.
Right. And actually, Ghostcrawler, and this is the quote that I thought Joe was going after, and I'm going to have to scroll for it. But it was a series of tweets, and he was basically saying, hey, I got on stage and said, and actually here it is, somebody said, I miss you, Ghostcrawler. Blizzard seems to be committing gradual suicide without you. And he said, my humble suggestion is that if you're not on board with a change, explain why, not that it was, quote, promised, unquote. And the reply was, if promised is too strong, then setting expectations but not meeting them is just as well. He said, I sympathize, but I've been on the other side enough to know it's hard to talk about cool ideas without setting expectations. They came back and said it's literally not a promise without the words we promise. And he says, even if it was a promise, you should be thankful if bad ideas get killed. Most of our ideas will be terrible. And he put that in all caps. You don't want them in the games. Some will survive. And then a reply came back, my sarcasm detector is steering off limits. And he says, no, I'm serious. All designers have bad ideas. Good designers recognize them faster. I meant intuition, though good designers will also make better use of feedback and testing. And then he went on to say, I got up in front of everyone and pitched Path of the Titans, and then we canceled it. Nobody's remembering that right now. Because he's the one that pitched that to us. Mm-hmm. And it sounded awesome.
Yep.
And he said, players get sad even when data mined changes get reverted. The alternative of not, and this is the key, the alternative of not talking about anything doesn't even work, given the lack of NDAs and rise of data mining today. And then he went on to say something about if they were to like temper what they tell us at BlizzCon, knowing that they're going to change their mind, and we as players ought to know that they're going to change their mind. Fucking Dance Studio. What was the raid we were supposed to get in Cataclysm that never happened? In Vashir?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, an entire raid never happened.
Right.
It was pitched at BlizzCon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we are going to get that upset about it, then they're just going to stop telling us anything.
Well, luckily they're not going to do that. But, I mean, that's what I think it shines a light on, is we're lucky that we have devs that talk to us at all, that give us as much insight, and all the blogs and all the videos and all the tweets and all the BlizzCon and everything else, everything that they give us, because I don't know any other company that gives us blow by blow as things are happening kind of information, rather than just like, well, it'll be out when it's out, and then they're silent and we don't know and we sit around waiting, and occasionally we'll get some kind of hint as to when the release date is going to be or something like that, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's there. That's how I've always known things. One of the reasons I love Blizzard is because they do communicate with us.
Right.
Do we ever like everything our friends even say to us? No. It's like, but at least they're trying, at least they're talking, and again, up to this point, they've done pretty damn well. Let's see how the whole thing works together instead of picking this little part. And it's like when you take something out of context and you're like, this doesn't make any sense at all. No, because it fits with this other shit. Look at the stuff on the beginning and the end. Calm the fuck down. This is part of what my rant was that I mentioned on Twitter the other day was going to be about. It's just the disrespect that I see from people in this community towards Blizzard, people who make their whole fucking living and their identity based on World of Warcraft, talking shit about Blizzard and telling them how they are bad, need to shut the fuck up.
Thank you.
Seriously. I mean, you want to talk to these people, you want to tell them you are displeased with something, that's fine. They want feedback. We're testing for them for a purpose. But don't come at them hostile. Don't come at them entitled because you feel that let's face it, especially as content creators, we are spoiled rotten with the way that Blizzard works with us. Spoiled fucking rotten the way they talk to us, the way they give us access to things, the way the content creators get first access to Heroes of the Storm Alpha and Warlords Alpha. Yeah, we're spoiled fucking rotten, but we don't necessarily deserve it, and we don't need to take that for granted, and we certainly don't need to get in their face and tell them you owe us more than what you've already given us just because you've given us a little bit of insight and you give us a little bit more of a voice. The more voice we have, the more we can tell you what to do. Fucking no. Just let them do their game. They are still a business. We are still consumers. And just calm the fuck down. There.
Man, I was hoping you were going to go on for a little bit a little bit longer.
I could, but it's enough.
Yeah, I mean, because honestly, dude, thank you. Like, I've been wanting to say that, and there are actually specific people I want to address that to, but I don't want to cause waves. But I've been thinking those same things. And, like, there's a difference between legitimate feedback, because there is someone out there, and it maybe if you read it on Twitter or on the forums or whatever, it comes off as kind of with a little bit of vitriol and venom to it. But at the same time, it's some legitimate feedback with some of the class changes they're making and that kind of stuff. But if it's just people bitching, and it's not hard to spot when it's
right,
bitching.
And that's the thing. It's not directed at anybody in particular. It seems like the more now than ever I've seen this community be more grumpy and more like a spoiled child than I can remember. When Mist was coming out, we were all just like, I swear, maybe it was me. Maybe I was just totally naive or whatever else. But everybody was just like, "This is awesome," and just getting into it. Yeah, getting into it. And now all of a sudden, it's just like everybody's at everybody's throats, and now we like I said, we have much better access to the devs and stuff than we've ever had before, and it feels like people are like taking advantage of it, and it bothers me. I love WoW. I love Blizzard. I fanboy or not, hell, I'm WoW Mardian. I think I pretty much put it right out there.
Right.
But still, just from the standpoint that these people are busting their ass, doing the best they can, and we feel like we have a say. We're lucky we have any kind of say at all. We're lucky they listen to us at all. Let's back up and think about the basics.
Well, and to kind of take what you were saying is like the communications we get as doing a podcast, and well, you were getting them before you joined the podcast when you got them through your YouTube channel. The communications we get from Blizzard, from Zarum, the community managers, and that interaction between us content creators and the developer. I can't think there's one other game, and I honestly don't remember the name of the company. There's one other game that I can think of that has that kind of interaction with their content creators and their community, and that's MechWarrior Online. And I'm sure there's others, right? That's just the only one I can think of. Right. But I've listened to some MechWarrior Online podcasts, and the CEO of the fucking company has been on some of the MechWarrior podcasts I've listened to.
Right.
And it's like, that's the only one, and they're nowhere near as big as WoW.
Right.
Let alone the other games in the Blizzard portfolio, right?
Right.
League of Legends, as big as it is, and Ghostcrawler being there and his activity on social media, which, by the way, is way less now that he's at Riot.
That's true.
They don't have that interaction with their community. Yeah, they got some forums, but they don't have near the level that Blizzard has. And I totally agree with you. The people who are podcasters and streamers and YouTubers, and but I mean, those of us who are content creators, there's some of us who I think have a healthy attitude about it, and there's some of them who think, some of us in this content creation community who seem to feel, like you said, kind of feel entitled. And I think they need to kind of step back and think how grateful they should be that Blizzard isn't putting NDA shit and putting copyright notices on their YouTube videos.
I think as every expansion goes, people get more entitled and more entitled. It just seems that way. That every new expansion, people get more entitled.
Right.
I'm kind of curious how that is related to the size of the player base.
Well, that and this is longer than Dragon Soul, right?
I think it is now. Yes.
Close,
yeah. So it's like,
if not, it's
this
like
lull
tied.
is driving people.
There is that. There's a lot of people who are on law and they're burned out and they want something new, and they feel the difference is they want something new versus they feel they feel as if they deserve something new.
Right.
And that's a difference. And frankly, if you feel like you deserve it, maybe you need to take a step back.
Right, and that's where you unsub and you go play something else or whatever. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Again, it's a business. Vote with your money, like I always say.
Yeah.
But my thing is, like I said, I'm seeing it from a lot of people in the community, which, like I said, for me, again, I think we're getting a lot more access than ever before, and it feels like we can take advantage and just say whatever we want. And I don't know. For me, one of the best memories I'll ever have in making videos was I made a video that I really liked, but it was a patch trailer. I wanted to put the Blizzard logo at the front and make it really kind of have that real Blizzard feel and really give it weight. And I just thought, wow, that's getting really close to copyright, obviously. So I remember emailing the link to Zarum and asking him, and he looked at it, sent it up to some other folks, came back to me and said, hey, this is fine. Just make sure you make it really clear in the name and everything else that this is fan made and it's good to go. And I sat there and I thought to myself, I'm like, I just kind of got approval on a video from Blizzard. Who the fuck am I?
Right.
That was my attitude at the time. I'm like, how lucky am I that I could even talk to these people and that they would talk back and have this. And I was just like, this is just bizarre. And I wish that was more of our attitude overall. I mean, we're lucky we get anything from these folks.
Well, I mean, especially in your case with YouTube, right? Like, I dare you to make a video of anything Sega.
Right. Or Nintendo.
I dare
Absolutely.
you.
No.
Because it's going to get
Nintendo's
shut the
hardcore.
fuck down in 20 seconds tops.
Yep.
Where
Nintendo-
Blizzard is like, fuck it, do it.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, it's
and they
like-
encourage it.
Right. And that's just something we have as a privilege as content creators. We don't have any special license, guys. If you wanted to go make videos, if you've never made a single video before in your life and you want to make a video, if you've got the video recording and editing software, if you want to make a video and put it on YouTube and monetize it, if it's all Blizzard stuff, it might get flagged, and then you can just refute it and say it's Blizzard. Blizzard said it's okay, and Blizzard will say, yeah, you're right, we did, and you're fine. We don't have any special license because we do a podcast or Joe has his YouTube channel. That's just Blizzard's attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to kind of maybe rephrase what Joe said, it's kind of disgusting that people are being as ugly towards Blizzard when Blizzard has been so kind to us.
Mm-hmm.
That it's just disgusting.
And I think that's where I get upset, is simply because they have done so much for me personally, just by being so open and letting me be able to take their stuff essentially and make videos out of it, for me to chase a dream, and not only that, but encourage it. Frankly, and I've said it before, but I'm gonna make sure I don't understate it. This whole thing has changed my goddamn life. Okay, it's changed everything for me. I'm finally doing something that I've always wanted. I'm chasing a dream, and they're allowing me and encouraging me. And I'm sorry, I can't take that for granted.
No, I totally agree. So do we want to keep on the mutual rant here? Or?
Well, it is 10. So
yeah, we are hitting our time. So. With that comes to something that is really not that easy to get through. This is going to be our last episode for a while. Not our last episode ever. I promise you that. And there's a few reasons for that. So we're going to take a little hiatus, and I'm going to run down some of the reasons, and I'm not going to get into too much detail. All three of us have got some real life shit we need to deal with. I'm not going to talk about Joe's and Meddy's. I'm only going to talk about mine because their business isn't mine to share. But we've all got some real life stuff we need to deal with. Mine personally is I'm been struggling to find a job for the last few months, and I cannot justify with a lack of income continuing to subscribe to WoW. And it's not that I'm quitting and giving up on the game. I still love this game, as probably the last 64 minutes has probably demonstrated. I still love this game. I still have a passion for this game. It's just a real life and financial issue, and I have been public several times and said that if I ever stop playing WoW, that I will stop producing content for WoW. And I'm not really stopping playing WoW. I'm still going to be in the beta. I'm still going to be doing some stuff. Hopefully I can get some videos up on the YouTube channel and that kind of stuff. But I feel like if I continued to do the podcast when I wasn't paying the sub, that I was kind of cheating on my promise and my public statement. That's not the biggest thing, but I guess for me it kind of is. But the other side of it is, we got some real life stuff. All three of us have some real life stuff. Like Meddy's getting ready to get married and move, and like I know I said I wasn't gonna.
It's okay.
I wasn't gonna air it, but you aired it on Twitter.
Yeah.
But like she's getting ready to get married and move, and like my girlfriend and her kids just moved in with me, and we got to find a place bigger than my apartment, and I got to find a job in order to make that happen. And so it's just, there's a bunch of real life stuff going on that the show is, as much as we all enjoy doing it and we love doing the show and we love interacting with y'all in the chat room, it's just something that it can't be a priority, unfortunately. So it's not, we're not going to wait forever. We're just going to wait for a while. Hopefully it's going to be, a couple months,
A couple months at most. Hopefully just kind of, and like said, we all three have our own individual. I can't talk. I feel like I'm breaking up with my boyfriend. yeah, it's not you, it's me. But just get some real life things sorted. Like I said, I think I said it in an interview with Ro for his 100th episode. For the past, God, how many years have I been playing WoW and doing the podcast? My own fault, but it's taken up a lot of my life. And I've kind of pushed things aside, like my hobbies. I really did push them aside, and I'm getting back into making jewelry. And it's like I really want to focus on making this a business to where I'm making money, and like all up in my business said, getting married soon, TM, and moving in March. So it's just like I have a lot of things. So.
And you're not just moving like across town.
Huh?
You're not moving just like
we're
across
moving
town.
like 3 hours away.
Right.
But yeah, and it gives us time to kind of do what I've been wanting to do for a while with the shroud drink. God.
Yeah, I'm out of beer, so don't make many more mistakes.
I know, right? I kind of wanted to reboot the show, and we kind of needed to reboot the show from a technical standpoint.
Yeah, that's
and
something else I'll get in a minute.
We've been wanting to make it more interactive with the WoW community, because it's a podcast for the WoW community. I've been wanting to bring more people in, maybe have people write for us and do some blogging, or have somebody come on the show and they're the special guest, and it's like you two guys talking with this person, and vice versa. And it's just, it gives us time to take care of real life, and it's going to give us time to focus on rebooting the show and opening it up to maybe more than just WoW. So.
Yeah, and I promise you, I don't want to promise you because.
We're not Liz. We're not going to promise you anything.
But I say if I promise something like that, like I feel like I have to live up to it because that's just who I am, and like I would promise you that we would be back before, say, mid-September. But if I don't have a job by then I'm gonna be living in a fucking refrigerator box in an alley, so it's kind of hard to podcast from there. So, but anyway, Joe, did you have anything you needed to add about?
I mean, the stuff I've been dealing with for months, and I've said some things here and there, but basically from the beginning of this year, I've had to start over with my entire life. I had to move from North Carolina to Michigan, and just, I had to start over, find a new job, and try and build up finances, which were zero. And, right now I'm at least living paycheck to paycheck, which is hard, but it at least is there, and, got a roof over my head. And thank God for my girlfriend who let me move in here, because I wouldn't. So, yeah, I'm still trying to figure things out and get in a better situation. The job I have is absolutely horrendous, but, you got to do what you got to do. So,
right.
So, working on things and trying to get things to be better, and I've kind of had a hard time being a content creator and having my heart in everything that I do, because everything I have, my mind's just all over the place, and it's been really tough. I mean, if you see my channel and everything else, what you used to know of me, my channel's completely inconsistent now. Even Onward isn't consistent. I'm trying to get the streaming thing to be somewhat consistent, so I have something going on, but my mind's all over the place, and it's been really, really tough. So, hoping things can change soon, and I'm gonna just keep plugging away, and hopefully I'll have more time.
Yeah, and I
right
think
now time's tough. It's just time.
I think something that you just said kind of frames it up for me is, I've got enough stress in real life that it's not like doing a podcast is a burden, right. But it's still it's a couple hours out of the week, and it's just like my heart's not in it because I'm so stressed out from I need to find a job, I need to that kind of stuff.
Right.
That real life is so stressful that it's like my heart's not in it right now, and it's not that my heart isn't in it; it's that I'm distracted.
Yeah, that's that. That's yeah.
And it's we're not going to wait for good, guys. Like, we are not leaving Catalyst Gaming Media.
I won't let them.
I love everybody in Catalyst. Everybody I've ever interacted with. Seraphis, Zia, the guys from A Bit of Geek and Nerdery, the Training Dummies guys, like everybody that I've ever interacted with. Love them, not leaving them. Still involved in World of Podcast. It's just that we can't take the distraction that we have in our real lives right now the podcast is just it's something that you've got to set something aside sometimes. And this is we traded several emails about it over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, and it's just something that we all kind of agreed that this is something we got to set aside for a while. And I'm not happy about it, and I'm sure Medi and Joe aren't either, but it's just the right thing to do for now.
Well, here's the key, and this is how we all have to look at it, is that when we come back, we'll be better.
Exactly.
We'll be better. And you deserve our 100% attention and effort and everything. And right now, unfortunately, and it's not necessarily totally unfortunate. Real life just has to take a priority sometimes, one way or the other. For whatever reasons, we have to just fix shit and make sure that we're good to go. Once that's taken care of, obviously, then we can do this other. And it's almost like a battery. We just have to recharge in a lot of ways.
I totally agree. It's like my battery is very low, and it's not because I don't enjoy podcasting. I love it. I love bullshitting with you two. I love bullshitting with people in the chat room and the listeners and our friends. I don't want to call you fans. You're our friends. But it's just with this lull and
although we did have a little bit of news to talk about tonight.
yeah, but still, there's still a lull in the game.
Yeah.
But it's just my battery is very low on WoW, and I don't think that it's fair to our friends and listeners and everybody that's involved with Epic Podcast to
honestly
continue doing this for right now, especially when we have a lot of real life going on and we have a lot of lull going on. It's like we need a refresher, we need a break. That way we can kind of refocus where we want Epic to go and then come back and kick ass, Seabass.
Right. And I don't think it's fair to our partners in Catalyst. Like I don't feel like if like we were just saying earlier, like if we're distracted and if our heart's not in 100%, I don't think it's fair to them to be putting content up next to them when they are. Like, I mean, those guys, like, especially, like, I know he's here and I'm not really kissing his ass, but like the guys from A Bit of Geek and Nerdery, that show is awesome, guys. Like, you guys really need to listen to that show, and those guys are there 110% every week. And it's just, even though I know they've just kind of had a change with whatever. If you follow them on Twitter, you kind of know what's been going on. But, I mean, those guys are there, and like Seraphis and Zia and Ray from the Sundering, they're there 110% every week. And frankly, it's just like we've been saying, it's just not there for us right now because of real life kind of having to take precedence. So
right, and that is the real. I mean, yeah, we do have a lull, but I mean, let's face it, we kept the show going and talking about stuff when there was no alpha, beta, or anything for months since BlizzCon.
How many weeks did we talk about when we were going to get beta?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so the lull, sort of. I mean, at least what's going on, we're waiting for the expansion to go live and all. Yeah, that's there, but it really is.
I mean, I can find out how to talk about the taste of water. I mean, really.
Right. But it really is the distraction.
Right.
But that's because I think we've all kind of seen it coming, and this might sound like a dig, but it would be a dig on everybody, is that, it was like putting the show notes together became such a chore, because it was just like, what the hell do we talk about? And then at least myself, I noticed myself, like, when I would do them, it was like later and later. I think the last time I did them was almost like 8 o'clock.
Yes.
It's like,
I didn't
that's
do
not
the
how
show
it should
notes
be
until around 7 o'clock, and
Right.
I kept looking at the clock going, crap, I'm gonna have to stop my movie and do the show notes. And I was like, that's not how it should be, and I feel bad, and I feel that we owe it to you guys to give you more and to give you better than that. So
yeah,
this is not goodbye. It's goodbye for now. We'll be back.
No, it is. It really is. You won't even. The way time flies. For God's sake, it's July already.
Right.
I mean, seriously, you won't. It'll blink, and we'll be back in your ear holes and I'll be making a fool out of myself and annoying you. So don't worry about it.
Now, what I will say about when we come back, our RSS feed has been kinda a little bit fucking jacked, and I'm going to start fresh when we come back. I'm going to just fix it because
episode 1
iTunes. No, I'm not even going to number them. We're just going to have names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're just going to have names, and if we don't have a name, then we'll come up with a name during the episode. We'll do it like the morning stream style, And I just, because our RSS stream is like, it's too much maintenance to deal with because iTunes refuses to pick up the new stream or the new feed from when we changed our hosting provider, a year ago. iTunes has not picked up the new feed, so the old feed will be abandoned. I will record some stuff here and there and just throw it on the old feed to remind you. Like once we start back up, I'll record a couple minutes here and there and just say, hey, go new feed, go to the website and click on that. Not ignore this feed, go to the other feed. I'll do that kind of stuff, but just as a technical thing, we kind of need to reboot. I think Medi's kind of wanting to revamp the website a little bit. I'm not sure.
I'm running to revamp and reboot the whole show.
Right. So.
Boom.
So yeah, the RSS feed will be getting fixed. Because right now it's really a pain in my ass to publish the show because I got to update 2 or 3 different RSS feeds. So yeah, that's all going to get fixed. New RSS feed. We're coming back at it, and hopefully it'll be September-ish. I don't want to give you an actual date, but that's kind of what I'm feeling in my gut. Is where we'll be back, and hopefully beta will be in full swing, and we'll be getting some news and that kind of stuff. We can talk about it, and maybe we can get Medi and Joe into some heroes, and we can talk about some heroes a little bit on the show.
Oh, AFK.
Yeah, about that reboot thing.
Anyway, we went a little long this week. So.
Right. Well, let me reiterate, too, for myself personally. I am trying to get things going for myself again as a content creator. Like I said, I have been lax, so we'll see how that goes. But the first and foremost thing, if you guys... I'm obviously not going to be here every Wednesday, but I am streaming my schedule. I've fixed my work schedule to the point where I can stream in the afternoons from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., and I'm doing that every Monday through Friday from now on. That is one way I'm trying to fix things, is get on a schedule. So if you guys want to come hang out for that, then obviously come to my Twitch.
And definitely do that. And for those of you who that's too early or you're on the West Coast, whatever, I may occasionally, since we're not doing the podcast, I may occasionally take this time slot and stream some beta or stream some heroes or whatever. Y'all can watch me suck playing video games. So it's not like we're totally going away. Like I said, I might fire some stuff up. Hopefully me and Medi can get in here. Maybe we can bring Joe into it and the 3 of us can jump into beta and do some stuff. We're just not going to do the regular podcast for the time being. So, Medi, why don't... Unless you had anything to add, or Joe, unless you had anything to add, Medi, why don't you go ahead and tell people how to get a hold of us, and we'll wrap this up for the time being.
Well, I was gonna skip the find us on iTunes and Stitcher, but I'm not. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher. Leave a review or a thumbs up. If you're listening via download, what?
You could probably skip that. You could probably skip that next sentence because we won't be back at 9 p.m. next Wednesday. So
no.
So, Epic Podcast is a member of Catalyst Gaming Media. Be sure to check out other podcasts, YouTubers, bloggers, webcomics, and more at catalystgamingmedia.com. Also, be sure to check out the forums on Catalyst's site and participate in the growing community there. You can follow us at epicpodcast.com. However, it is subject to change.
That would be our website, not follow us.
Right.
Just saying.
You can email us at epicpodcast@gmail.com. And if you're the son of a bitch that hacked into our account,
yeah, fuck you. And by the way, anybody listening, if you got some spam email from us, we apologize. Our Gmail account was compromised. So.
Right. And where was I? Right. You're right. You can go to youtube.com/theepicpodcast to see videos. I know Lick's been doing some updates, news.
I haven't in a while.
Warlords of Draenor Beta and Alpha, all that stuff. You can go to youtube.com, wowmardian, and that's Joe's stream. He does things like chair dancing. Dare dancing?
Well, it should be a dare. Should be a dare for me to just never do it again.
Did you realize I'm totally gonna figure out a way to rip that and put that on the podcast YouTube channel?
No.
That'd be awesome. You can follow our Twitter at Twitter. Jesus, you know what? Fuck it.
You can follow the show at epic_podcast. You can follow me at Lignar. You can follow Joe at WowMardian, and you can follow Medi at Medicakes.
Does Katie have to come in and do this shit?
And here's my personal promise. I'm making a promise. I'm Blizz, yo. Oh,
put it on a slide so we know it's real.
I will know how to speak properly when we come back from the reboot.
Oh, that's a fucking lie.
I know.
Say Worcestershire sauce.
Fuck.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Let me tell you something.
I can't talk when I have other people talking. Worcestershire sauce.
Nice.
Yay!
Hey, no, okay. I'm not.
Shrine Cavern.
That's what I was getting ready to ask you. Wow, I'm impressed. Wow, 2 in a row.
Though.
2 in a row. You guys have no idea how long Serpent Shrine was Wiggly Snake Cavern.
Yeah,
you really don't.
Hooked on phonics worked for Eddie.
Anyway, guys, that is it for this week, and sad to say, for a while. So until next time, have fun a while, y'all.
Bye-bye.